We hit it! You already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Well, it's Tim and Dave anyway, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Other Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. My name's Tim. His name's Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing well.
It's been a heck of a week so far, but you know the long weekend's coming, and I'm off tomorrow and Monday, so I'm a happier man than usual at this particular moment. But we don't have our brother in arms, Jeremy, on hand today. He's down with the vid. He's got the vid, as he says again. So we wish him well. Hope he's feeling better and very, very soon is back on his feet. Let us, let's talk about what we're doing on this episode, Dave. We're obviously no championship wrestling from Jeremy, but we do have our NWA USA recap, and from this past week wasn't too bad. Some of it better than Power.
Yeah.
And you're going to be looking at the kind of fantasy booking a run for Tessa. Is it possible that Tessa Blanchard could come to the National Wrestling Alliance? I really look forward to that discussion. Let's talk about just very briefly about that, like right off the bat, of why that could be a possibility before we get into it later. But Tessa put up a tweet. I think it was Tessa, was it not?
I believe so.
Here
I don't follow her, but because it was posted and it had La Rosa Negra tagged that NWA put it up, and I don't know if they took it down or.
Yeah.
It lives on the interwebs. It's there.
It does. It looked like the NWA might have reversed the retweet, but time heals wounds.
Yep.
La Rosa Negra and Tessa Blanchard, an amazing moment this weekend, which kind of, I think spurred you on to think, well, if the two of them can mend ways, is there a chance that Tessa Blanchard could make her return to wrestling? That's kind of exciting in a way. It's also arguably dangerous.
It's a 50-50 shot, but when you look at least I look at the NWA as either a springboard going up or a soft mattress coming down. It's a building block on your way up or down. Or I've also looked at it as it's like the island of broken toys or misfit toys or whatever.
Misfit toys, yeah.
It's a place where wrestlers that have had a chance either don't fit in other places, but when they come to the NWA, somehow, probably 75% of the time, things work out.
That's true. Unless you're beast mode.
Yeah. Then it's one and done.
Yeah. I like that springboard on the way up, soft mattress on the way down. That's a good place, a good way to put it for the NWA. Look at this guy right here. Look at Media Mike trying to tell us what he's having for dinner. This guy's like I don't know. I'm going to end up eating some of Mike's food at some point someday. It's just how he describes it, the white filling. But I use the ground beef and chorizo. Oh, come on, man. You're killing me right now. Although my wife just made an excellent Italian meatball soup for dinner, and it was delicious. So we're all very happy. And Mike says, good to see Rosa and Tessa make amends. Yeah. And I hope that trend continues for her. She is, and I hope that it's 100% legit.
Well, I mean, it's one of these things of wrestling is so spread out. There's all these different companies. If they can mend fences and show all these different promotions that they can work together, it ups their value. That it's sometimes you take something that is personal and they make it into a storyline. They could do that, or it's like, hey, we're not mad at each other. Let's go and tear the house down and make money for both of us.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of talk about how she's been cancer, but honestly, I always take that stuff, like anything else in this sport, and frankly in any other, with a grain of salt. Like we're not there. We don't know. We only hear what other people have heard, who have heard from other people, and who knows. So hopefully, there's something going on there, and we can see some fences built just like that. Willie Bowen's here. Willie's always here. Willie, I think, lives here. I like the Willie's like got a room upstairs. He lies in. Tyrus is going to be on the labels for Pepto-Bismol and Ducalax. It's an endorsement deal that writes itself, Willie. You're right. I think he's talking about Tessa. Oh no, another flat butt lady wrestler. Isn't Angelina Love enough? Look, I'm an old man, and I agree with you on Angelina Love, but I'm an old man, but I don't think there's a flat butt on Tessa, is there? Like she's pretty good looking woman. Just my personal opinion. But I mean, to each their own. What else we got? Let's just let's chat it out. Look, this is something that came up, and I have a little bit more. I don't want to say happiness, but when we lost Jay Briscoe, it was a very sad day for the internet. Mm-hmm. But when we lost this guy, it was almost like the memories that it induced for so many people. Bushwhacker or sheep herder Butch. Almost just kind of made people smile. Like this is a man here. He's Johnny Ace and with Luke here as well, who, if you didn't follow the sheep herders when they were, can I put that up somewhere else, or does it have to go right there? It has to go right there. We gotta let's kick Dave off there. We gotta go like this. But if you didn't follow the sheep herders when they first started, and we're talking about a tag team 36 years together, wow. Yeah, a couple of times, including other members, like Butcher or Luke. I forget which. I think Butch might have kind of, no pun intended, tagged out to somebody else for a while. But 36 years. I saw a post by Bobby Fulton, and I saw an interview online this week that I looked up with where Jake the Snake Roberts was sitting with Luke, and he was saying they did 37 barbed wire matches in 45 days.
Jesus. For
Bill Watts. And they had titles in the NWA that included, and I'm going off of memory, I got nothing in front of me, NWA Canadian tag team titles, that's out of Vancouver, US tag team titles out of Florida, the Florida tag team titles, the Mid-South tag team titles, which I think they won on their debut when they went into Mid-South. I know they had Stampede tag titles in the 70s, twice, and they had New Zealand titles out of the NWA as well. So there was about 7 or 8 NWA titles. Never mind AWA and independent places that they went. I don't believe they ever held the WWF tag team titles, but they were terrifying to me as a child, Dave. And my exposure to them was largely through the After mags. But, they understood things, although maybe not the most dominant tag team, but they understood things about psychology that really, and wrestling very aggressively, that was a bit different than their time. Like, they didn't do a spot, walk around, do a combo, walk around. It was all the time. Just stay on your opponent all the time. It was different. And in the psychology aspect, they understood stuff like, I heard Luke say this, having an American hold the New Zealand flag to draw even more heat than they were getting. And they were a tag team that terrified people throughout the NWA when they were the Sheep Herders, and just seemingly overnight when they went to the WWF, Dave, made people laugh with the whole Bushwhackers thing.
I mean, it was like flipping a coin, heads to tails difference. It was crazy. And I mean, because I remember seeing them and I'm like, wow, okay, cool. And then I'm like, I've seen them somewhere before. And then I'm like, that's when I had done some tape trading in the early 80s. And I'm like, And I remember seeing the Sheep Herders, and I'm like, my God, they're the same, but they're not.
Hey, Lamb, we're just talking about Bushwhacker Butch, Sheep Herder Butch. That's what we're talking about right now. Carry on, Dave.
No, but I mean, just seeing them, and then when I was actually able to later go online and actually do some research on them, I mean, 36 years, I mean, that's longer than some marriages. And I mean, when they were actually doing territorial work and bouncing from territory to territory, I mean, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, depending on what area you were in. And I mean, like you were mentioning, Jake the Snake said that they had the barbed wire matches. In a 45-day period, 37 matches. I mean, you don't have time to heal up. You just wrap up those scars or wrap up any wounds you have. And okay, hey, we're in a lesser market. Let's give them 75% instead of 100%. It's not a full sold out show.
Right.
But still, let's give them what they came for.
Yeah, and people left. They seemed to leave, like in the early days, they left really like, wow, who are these crazy, crazy New Zealand, these crazy Kiwis, which I think is an acceptable word. I hope it is. But also like in the WWE, it just made people laugh with the insanity. You're right. You don't heal up from these scars. Look at their foreheads on this thing. Mike said many of the photos, except for at least the bottom right, I remember from wrestling magazines as a kid. The last one's WWF, 100%. From barbed wire to kids' toys. I mean, honestly, if you can get it, right? I mean, get after it. Like, it's anyone would want to really trade for barbed wire to kids' toys, especially when you're getting on. We just saw Cousin Luke at in United Wrestling Network just a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, on his own, wrestling in a match, probably 72 himself, I think, if I remember correctly. Still out there, can't really move anymore, but still out there. And anyway, like I say, the passing is of course sad, but for me, it kind of made me just remember here's a tag team that I thought the world of in the NWA, and really were different along the way. But you mentioned something. Kiwi is a fruit grown in New Zealand. I know that, but after I'd said it, I remembered that someone told me once it's not an acceptable word anymore. I certainly didn't mean it that way. Lamb says, and it wasn't planned. He came up with that idea that he wanted to wrestle at the Memphis taping. Oh, and gladly did it well, sort of. Yeah. That's. I mean, it's cool. It's good to see he's still out there. Actually, before we go on to sort of the next topic and that other tag team that I wanted to talk about, let's just go back here. We were talking about Tessa Blanchard before and her post with La Rosa Negra and mending the fences there, time healing wounds, and but Mike had a few comments. Excuse me. But will the NWA have the balls to do a true hate storyline? I don't see it. I doubt they will. And I think that's too, something that you might have said there, Dave, about like, do they've made up, they're not enemies anymore. Do you go out and make some money with that?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at what Billy's done in the past, he has no qualms about bringing someone in who has skeletons, let's say.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's one of these things. I mean, when I do the fantasy booking, I've come up with a couple ideas, but it's one of these things of she's not being used by anyone else. If the NWA can bring her in and use her before someone else grabs her, why not? Like I said, it's going up or down. It's one of these things.
Yeah, but on that storyline, I mean,
I wouldn't do the hate storyline. I mean, it's almost the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
I agree, and I can see what you're saying. Lamb says, "Wow, superheroes offered La Rosa Negra a lot of money to do the storyline, but she declined." Also, if Tessa is coming, will the Hex be gone for good? We know Allison Kay will not be happy with it. But for the NWA, Tessa would be an absolute win. I agree. I've been saying this for a year or so now. Just if you can get past the locker room stuff, it's and like you just said, Dave, there's skeletons in that closet, but there have been another. In fact, arguably there's been some skeletons around the holder of the 10 pounds of gold. So Billy would take that person on, but we'll talk about booking her in just a little bit. What was Mike saying? Yeah, Mike was saying yes. Sorry, not that she's a cancer. Yes, she's taken as that. Probably she's arrogant and very blunt. Are you suggesting, sir, that the daughter of Tully Blanchard might be arrogant and blunt? People take that the wrong way unless she flat out says derogatory words. And Tessa is all chin. Yeah, I think you just mean like right here, right? No, this was the other thing. Yeah. Tessa will not defeat the Brick House Camille. I'll tell you this, Willie, if you make it to 75 and well, if it's not 70, let's just say hypothetically she does come in and there is a match, I'll predict right now that Tessa Blanchard would be the one to take the title from Camille. And I'm not a massive Tessa Blanchard fan. I think she's a good wrestler. But the belt's going to come off the Brick House at some point. I don't know who else it would be other than Lindsay Snow. Dave, what do you think?
I mean, there's always the possibility, but it's one of these things that if she was brought in and she did work a program with Camille, it would benefit both of them. It'd get her back in the ring, plus a win by Camille, or even a DQ. That would extend the story out. That if there was a DQ finish and either the belt was held up for some reason, she never lost the belt was taken away. So she's still a one-time champion. She just doesn't currently have the belt, so who knows?
He's already booking, guys.
Yeah.
He's got a whole program. Willie said, I'm back to where the sheep herders, I always think of them as the sheep herders, the bushwhackers. When Blackjack Mulligan, Jack Briscoe, Dusty Rhodes, Jay Blount, and the Road Warriors all passed away, kayfabe died. Sure. Yep, they were certainly part of that. The boss is here. Thanks for coming.
What's up, Jay?
And Lem says, I think he's saying, I still say that the only person, and one time Camille, the only reason in time Camille will lose the Burke is when AEW offers her a contract she can't decline, I think is what you're saying. Yeah. Sure, 100%. I agree. But I mean, I look forward to seeing her. My wife looks like that's the number one attraction for her in the NWA. But there are always stuff behind the scenes that are going to drive a title change like that. I think that Tessa Blanchard, although she's been out of the game, I think you were telling me, Dave, 2 or 3 years now, really, other than WOW and south of the border in Mexico, I guess, for a bit. I still say she's got that name power. Like what? Yeah. And she can bring people in on the same way I got brought back to the NWA after, quite a long time apart. Like I said, my friend Jeff called me up one day and he said, the Rock and Roll Express just won the NWA World Tag Team titles? And I was like, what? And here we are. We do a podcast together because he told me about that. Like, they were now your World Tag Team champs. Mm-hmm. And I think the same kind of thing could happen with Tessa. I think she's got that name value still. But hey, talking about Tessa, but we were talking about the Bushwhackers, and let's talk about another tag team who's being incredibly well honored with this. Scooby sent this to me, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. New Ring of Honor Pure and World Tag Team titles. Look at those side plates for the tag straps. The Briscoes featured on these belts. Like, that's amazing. And like 13-time, Dave, ROH World Tag Team Champions. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about like what this means and kind of relay it back to what you were talking about last week with the Crockett Cup.
Well, I mean, it's one of these things that ROH, if you think of ROH, there's tons of different wrestlers that you can think of when you say ROH. But until ROH was shut down, the Briscoes were never in any other ring.
Right.
They may have done independent, but they were loyal to Ring of Honor. And I mean, whether it was them as a tag team or Jay as world champion, if you say to somebody WWF, you automatically think, okay, WWF, okay, that's Hulk Hogan, that's back in the day, Bruno, Macho Man, that there's certain names and wrestlers that you think of when someone says a wrestling organization.
Right.
Where there's a certain, it's a memory that pops. And I mean, these guys were I'd have to say one of the ultimate tag teams. It's as a tag team wrestling together, you learn your partner's moves. But if you're an actual blood brother, you're actually brothers. That takes it even deeper. That it's more of it's emotional, but it's a physical relationship that you are my actual brother. We're doing this together. And whenever you see a brother tag team or a sister tag team, they seem to be more aware of what's happening than just, oh, this is my tag partner. They know what the other one's thinking, almost like if there's twins, they finish each other's sentences. With the wrestling, they finish each other's moves. They're 1, 2, 3 steps ahead.
Right.
So I mean, to me, those belts, that's just, I mean, I myself don't own any belts, whether they be replica belts or real belts.
Mhm.
But seeing that, I'd be willing to spend some money on those. I mean, because the Briscoes to me are ROH.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. Like the Briscoe brothers were the ROH World Tag Team Champions, and everybody else was just keeping them warm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jay and Mark needed to go on vacation, so you can have the belts for a while. You know, and it's funny because like it's so great that they did that, and there's not a lot of people, not a lot of organizations that'll do that. Like Adam Pearce is on the Hollywood Heritage title, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah, uh, and putting some of those guys on there like that is absolutely amazing. But with these, like if I think of the greatest tag teams of the modern day, you can think of good tag teams, you know, and arguably you could put them above into great or just or below if you don't dig them as much. But you'd say good tag teams, the Usos, La Rebellion, you know, who else would we even say? It's a weird age for tag team wrestling right now. But great, there's two teams, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was the Briscoe brothers and FTR.
Yep. And they tore the house down when they had their match. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what kind of harkening back to what Dave was saying last week. In exclusivity, I will only call the tag titles the Briscoes, which is what Dave had suggested. Perhaps the Crockett Cup be, renamed. They did just win it last year, so maybe ROH had a very similar idea and did something like this because I think it's amazing. What's Willie said? I would rather Camille lose the Burke to Jessica Havoc or maybe Jordan Grace. I don't know where Jessica Havoc is. She's pretty good. Jordan Grace is still locked up by Impact, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
well, I mean, it's one of these things with the Briscoes that if you've heard what Mark has put out on social media, he's saying he'll do trios matches or singles matches, but he will no longer do tag teams because he and his brother were the Briscoe brothers.
Right.
So this way, it's honoring the Briscoes without having a Briscoe having to be in the tag team. That anytime the ROH belts, the tag belts are defended, it's automatically brought up that it's a Briscoe thing.
It's almost better that way, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, thank you so much for putting me and my brother on those belts. I don't want them. like we're done with that. But
yep.
What an honor. Hey Dave, let's talk about just real quick about Power last night, and hopefully everyone has seen it. And just to touch on it, because I know Jay and DK are probably gonna, kill it tomorrow. Like Macho Man Elbow, or well, there's two of them. So Doomsday Device it into the mat tomorrow on the OG version of the Alliance, guys. But I mean, Jay was saying on the on what Lamb is saying here last night. Jay was saying like doesn't really look like a great lead up to 312, and boy, did it deliver on that promise. Lamb says Power last night. Ugh, Mike says I wish I hadn't seen it. Yeah, I mean, a big chunk in the middle of the go home show. Where our friend Dodie was screaming on Discord about how you had, two managers fighting in the main event. We'll get to that, but a big chunk of this thing was a replay episode of Thrillbilly Kratos. What's the thinking here, do you think?
I really don't know. I mean, I know they only have a limited time when they're doing their tapings, but my thought is if you're doing a show the week of a pay-per-view, maybe bookend it and show a couple matches of what got you to this or what is getting you to this pay-per-view. Hey, here's why Kratos is fighting. Here's why Tyrus is fighting. This is why Tyrus is fighting Chris Masters. It was just, there was really no explanation.
Right.
Give me an explanation. They've never really crossed paths that I can remember. There wasn't a, hey, we're having a fatal 4-way and the winner gets to go for the championship. I mean, who knows? It's one of these things. I mean,
I don't understand it.
The only explanation is I'm using my cash in from the Champion Series.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, but there has been no story to build it up. It's just out of nowhere.
Right.
So, I mean, give us a little history. Use that time rather than having a 10-minute match. In 10 minutes, you could have 3 or 4 good interviews recorded in the back and then pepper it in between maybe a match here or there.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather have had 10 minutes of Tyrus and Adonis, you know, whatever you want, talking to a camera or talking to each other or giving us the backstory, as you say, and the lead up to whatever, building that up. Then, look, I'd like the Three-Billy Kratos match the first time I saw it. I was a little like, ooh, you know, that's a lot of blood on JR there. But what are we doing here? Like, how do you the right before the pay-per-view? How would they get to this? Mike says, "Yeah, go ahead, Dave."
I mean, my only thought is we're going into a pay-per-view, maybe showing a match from a previous pay-per-view will get someone to buy it. That both of these guys are going to be in the next pay-per-view. It's part of a storyline. Let's see where it goes. If we can get a couple hundred more buys by showing this on free YouTube, we may be able to get a couple, maybe 100 more buys. That's a little more money in our pockets. And if they like what they see, hopefully they'll join us on a weekly basis and buy our pay-per-views, buy some merchandise, whatever.
Yeah, I guess. A lot of comments here. Mike says, and again, they showed a match that was on the pay-per-view. They don't need to constantly show fillers. The last match, I don't mind. They did that to leave on a soft note, but before the Thrilly match, it started weak. Lamb says, maybe they thought, man, we have to make Power so bad that people will be excited for our pre-show. It's possible. This show, as Mike says, that they had this in place already, taped, edited, and ready. They don't do real go-home shows, which is poor. Poor build-up for Adonis and Tyrus is very weak. Build-up for Adonis and Tyrus is very weak. They had one face-to-face promo segment. That's over in a month. That is over a month of build-up. Nothing afterward. And people expect Adonis to win. Though he says, I assure you, I will win. I agree wholeheartedly. It's tough to believe in the plausibility, Dave, of Chris Adonis winning when they don't have any build-up.
Yeah.
Lamb says, was the La Rosa Negra 6-person match on Power or USA? It was on USA. It was a good match. It didn't mean anything, but there was some solid wrestling all the way through it. We'll get to that in a sec. Lamb says Adonis draws more interest with a Chris Van Vliet interview than whatever it is Tyrus did or does. And Lamb's son, he is the best. 100%. I'm so glad you're here, Lamb. Willie says, I see Tyrus at a pie eating. I'd rather see Tyrus at a pie eating contest as opposed to looking at the main event on Power last night. 100%. Terrible, just terrible. Season finales aren't really a big deal for the NWA. So much so that they're not even naming seasons anymore, are they? Not seasons or episodes. They're, I guess, because they're on YouTube. I don't know. Rolando and Stevens precisely. I can't think of a worse Power main event that I've ever seen between two guys. I'm going to say this very carefully, that I think in their own ways are very talented. I hated everything about this match, but you tell me, what did you think?
Well, in the words of Joe Galley, almost. This was not wrestling as it's meant to be. This was garbage. And this is coming from somebody that grew up. Well, I mean, even after I was 18, after watching all the regular wrestling, ECW caught my eye. And I mean, I remember watching, I mean, just some of the most horrific, bloody ECW matches, staying up till 3 a.m. watching them on cable. But I mean, this was nothing. To me, it was a throwaway match, and I mean, it really had no implications on anything.
So you had the NWA, had something you were trying to build for a pay-per-view, and you blew it off on the Power before, probably because they didn't have anything else, I would assume, in the can, but I don't get why that would be. And it was, I mean, just like there's room for humor in wrestling for sure, and I don't want to give the impression I don't think there is. But the spots where they go into the back, that was the most interesting part for me, by the way, is that, oh, I get to see backstage. That's cool. It looks exactly like I thought it would.
Yep.
But, where Adonis, God, I'm sorry, Chris Adonis. I didn't mean to put your name in this. Aaron is put on that back stretcher board, and he just keeps going upside down, and his foot is caught, and he comes back up, and he gets smacked, and his foot is caught. And the bit in the ring where he's coming to hit him, and then there's the rope between his legs, and oh God. But even beyond that, just the idea that once again, Rolando Freeman can take a full-grown male. Again, I think Rolando's got talent that the NWA can use in a certain capacity. I just hated everything about it, and I'll let you comment again, but Lamb says every time Guy says wrestling as it's meant to be, and they're present, they present stuff like that. I feel assaulted as a fan.
Yep.
Hey, Willie agrees. Lamb said, wasn't one of the Dawsons versus question mark in a no crowd match on Power main event too? I don't remember that.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there may have been one or two. I mean, there was the social distance match. I don't think it was a main event, but there's been there was, what was it? Was it Tim Storm and Jax Dane that just did an empty arena match?
Yeah, I remember that. And that wasn't great either, but yeah.
This should have been just 3 or 4 minutes done. All this, it's almost like a mixture of, hey, let's do some hardcore stuff, let's do some Three Stooges stuff, and let's do a little wrestling.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're not a fan of 1, 2, or 3, all of those, you're lost. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. All of that for nothing.
Yeah, the social distancing match. Nobody can defend this shit, right? There is that. To steal a phrase from our friend Dodi Cusamanto, Dawson's for NWA. Bring them back again. I miss the Dawsons. Mike says, by the way, you're cutting in and out a bit, Dave. You might want to check on your system there.
Okay.
But you're still pretty good, but something's going on. NWA showing the Thrilly Kratos match is good for the NWA itself, but new viewers will hope will buy pay-per-view based on that. People will not like it when they don't see that type of match. Okay. And those two people in the same match on the card. Yeah. If they don't see Kratos versus Thrillbilly on the card, because what he's saying, what good is it? And agreeing with us, nothing's planned here. This last episode was too lighthearted. The street fight was too one-sided again for Rolando. And though Aaron made Aaron look almost jokish, even as a manager, I got bored enough that I looked away at the end. Did he just hit him with the glove he was wearing?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it ended? He just hit him with the glove he'd been wearing the whole time?
If I remember correctly. I mean, it was just, I found it hard to watch, not because it wasn't good. I was just not interested in it. I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing all these. It's a hardcore match. It's this. Lost my interest a minute in.
Yeah. Storm versus Joseph had a story, so it made sense. It did. It just wasn't a great match. What I remember most of it was Tim Storm landing on that terrible looking bump on his back outside on the ring apron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't look. It looked like he hurt himself, but yep, glove hit right at the end, pinfall, and that's it. Okay. If you're wearing it the whole time, why wasn't this a 10-second match? I don't know. Yeah. Who is the current TV champion? Lamb asks. That is Mr. Tom Latimer, who is not defending the title at the pay-per-view, although he is appearing at it.
Yeah.
So something's going on there. Aaron could have hit him with the glove and then ragdolled Rolando. Yeah, that would have been better. But hey, listen, that's their go home offering before the pay-per-view. Something didn't click for me. I'm gonna objectively say about the about Power. It's certainly the worst go home before a pay-per-view Power I've ever seen. Might be the worst Power presentation overall, but I mean, I might have blacked out a fair bit of it in my head. Let's talk about 312 and do some of the rundown. We have. I'll throw this up. That's this Friday. I won't be watching it. Not because I don't want to. It's that I'm busy. I've got some familial duties to take care of, but 312 is this Friday. I prefer my pay-per-views on a Sunday, but I guess there's probably Easter to consider. And in the pre-show, we get Sal the Pal versus Gags the Gimp in that hair versus mask strap match. Say that 10 times fast.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Any interest in that at all? We'll keep this quick and sharp. Any interest in Sal versus Gags on any level?
I'm interested to see what direction they go, but I mean, this just needs to end. They need to either make up or break up. I mean, if Gags loses his mask, the man behind the mask has nowhere to go. If Sal loses his hair, it's a bald Sal. So 6 of one, half dozen of another. I mean, maybe it's a new start. Who knows?
Yeah, you're up frozen for a little bit there again, but it might not be you. It might be YouTube media saying, Lamb says the pay-per-view's on a Friday? That's odd. With SmackDown and Rampage, it's heavy competition. Yeah, I don't know. Thought it was weird too, but I'm guessing it's because of Easter. Yeah, Latimer had a title defense. Who did he have it with? They shook hands afterward. Oh, Red Titus, right? It's a good match. Maybe try logging off and logging back in, Dave. It's really bad now. What else have we got coming up? We have Natalia Markova is on the pre-show, which is too bad because I feel like she's paid her dues in the NWA, and Dave is back. Good. I feel like she's paid her. Oh, he's gone again. She's paid her dues, and she's going on the pre-show against La Brava Escobar, who made her debut on NWA USA this past week, and who she made. I was just talking about La Brava Escobar, facing off against Natalia in the pre-show. Kind of too bad for Natalia. She deserves to be on a pay-per-view. But La Brava Escobar is going to be there. I think she's even. Yeah, with Christy Janes and kind of representing Christy Janes in this one. Any interest here, guys? What about you think, Dave?
There we go. I mean, it looks like they're going to build Natalia up to possibly go after whoever wins the TV title.
Right.
But I'm not sure why they're having their quote unquote rivalry and then bring in Mercurio and Magic Jake. Who knows?
Right. I guess it's kind of a throwaway. But if it gets CJ in the ring and maybe we get to see something happen there, that's okay with me. Lamb says Billy's trying to hijack this podcast. He's screwing up your feed, Dave. I'm going to borrow a line from Jaden and suggest that Jay has a type. Billy's start and stop push of workers is even worse than Vince's way. What did you call it for booking earlier, Dave? I don't want to steal your line. The style of booking?
No, I don't even remember.
Before the show, we were talking about it. I think you called it microwave booking.
Oh, yeah, microwave booking. Basically, instant booking. That if you're booking, I mean, instead of making a soup and letting it sit on the stove and get all the flavors in it and all that kind of stuff over a 10 or 12 hour period, he'll throw it in the microwave and warm it up in 5 minutes. That it's they want instant gratification.
Yeah, are you still there? You're still there. He's muted himself now. Okay. Where are we? Willie also likes Natalia. Jay wants to see her built up to be built up. Jay wants to see her built up to win the TV title. Christy Janes. Poor Christy Janes, Lamb says. Pay-per-views in Chicago, an area where Christy's dominating in the indies. And she plays only the stupid CJ character and will not wrestle. To which Jay adds, CJ can wrestle. Let her wrestle. I like to tweet at Billy and use the hashtag Christy Janes cannot be contained because it rhymes. But you've We've got to get her in the ring for sure. Can you hear me okay, Dave?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. It's a bit of a lag. No worries. What else we got on the pay-per-view? There's that. There is on the pre-show, the U.S. Tag Team Champions are defending their titles, the Country Gentlemen, against the Savages on the pre-show. And I actually think this is a pretty good idea. There's enough titles in the NWA that you could, you can spare to have a title match for those who maybe aren't sure if they're going to buy the show. What do you think, Dave?
Mm-hmm. I mean, on this one, I think it's a good way to show people what the NWA is. Granted, you have a newer team, but it's a way to actually build up a troop. What's up? But I mean, this match will keep the Country Gentlemen strong with a win. I don't think it's the Savages' time yet to take the U.S. titles.
Incorrect. Savages all the way. They're taking these belts. Jay's here. Busy alliance stuff. Busy alliance stuff.
Oh, yeah. You know, we if you got time to lean, you got time to clean, right? I saw that Dave Scoob was having a little bit of trouble with audio, so I just wanted to help jump on. So if you guys need any extra lifting, I'm here for you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Jeremy's off too, so we appreciate you being here. The boss is in the house. Lamb says, Paladin. Hey, Jay. How's it going?
Yeah, I saw Lamb was in the show, and honestly, I was jealous because Lamb doesn't have time to come on to the pre-party anymore. So I wanted to make sure that I connected with the man, Lamb. I am a Lamb Sam guy, by the way.
Yeah, I wish I had one of those shirts. I didn't get one quick enough, so that's my loss.
I'll make you a bootleg.
Nice. Appreciate that. Jay's our t-shirt hookup. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm interested in this match in the sense that I think it's good that the NWA made a call to put a title on the pre-show. And I want the Savages to take those belts, and I'm okay being done with the Country Gentlemen for a little while, at least in this current capacity. What about Daisy Kill and Talos, the 7-foot-tall Talos versus Knox and Murdoch on the pre-show? What do you guys what do you think of that?
First and foremost, why does Daisy Kill not know just one guy over 7 foot, but two guys over 7 feet? Has he got some sort of club that he belongs to? Is there a membership? Because I kind of felt like that when I was in New Jersey standing next to you, Tim. But in the land of giants, I mean, there aren't that many guys who are 7 foot, and how Talos landed in the NWA is beyond me. But I did get to watch Talos wrestle in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, or Championship Wrestling presented by Car Shield. Let me get the name right. And one thing that I always enjoyed about Talos was that he was hulking and he was lurking, but his match with Willie Mack, I mean, he wrestled in a traditional giant-sized wrestling, but the guy could actually work. We know that beast mode could not work, and that's something to be said when you have a giant who can actually work.
Have you seen? You guys seen Big Ben Bishop in Memphis?
No.
6'12" and 1/4 of a metric ton.
I love it already.
Yeah, he can work too. He's going to be good. He's just very young right now. I mean, I'm kind of interested in this match a little bit. I'm sorry I'm missing this pay-per-view on Friday. I'll have to catch it up on the weekend, but I mean, it's Trevor Murdoch. I mean, get me in front of a TV with a match with Trevor Murdoch on it, and I'm there. But to kind of start the show, and I'm guessing at the order of these matches, of course, but the Bob Luce Memorial Battle Royal, 20-man Battle Royal, too many people for a Battle Royal for my particular liking. 20 is a lot for inside the ring. You've got on this, I mean, there's all the faces of those generally aren't appearing elsewhere on the show. but just to name a few: Mercurio, Odinson. You got PJ. The Now's in this. Looks like Psycho Love and the Fixers, Homicide, Clearwater, and so it's the battle royal for the people we didn't know what we were going to do with this time around. Random winner. What do you guys think? Out of, I'll put this thing right back on the screen so you guys can take it. Not you, Jay. You're not allowed to look at it. You're driving your goddamn car.
I can do both.
There we go. Take a look here. I don't. Is Danny Deals in this thing? By the way, that's crazy.
In that case, is Pollo in it?
Pollo, yeah, that's right. Pollo's there too. You're right. Any random picks to win here, fellas? What do you think, Dave?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a quick way to give Thrillbilly a title shot to go after that national title, and then eventually the 10 pounds of gold. It'll move him up the ladder even quicker. It'll help either keep some storylines going, and but it
cutting out on us a bit still, but don't worry, we'll get through it. You come back pretty good after a few seconds. What do you think, Jay? I'm guessing you agree.
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue. I kind of felt like they made this battle royal specifically for the Thrillbilly. If you guys didn't hear him on the Alliance guys last week, you need to go back and listen because that was amazing. But I just feel like this is the guy who the NWA really should consider strapping a rocket to and letting him take off. And a good first step would be to have him in this battle royal and just literally eliminate half the guys in it. It would just mean a lot for him in terms of building momentum to getting a match with Scion for that national title. I just don't see anyone else in the Rumble that can do it. Although I wouldn't hate if Odinson went on a tear and surprised everybody to win either.
Yeah, okay. Well, 19 Viking uppercuts later, and I guess he can win the battle royal.
Hey, you gotta work with what you got, buddy.
Well, that's all he's got. Is all I'm saying. Willie says Daisy Kill needs a name change. 100% agree. Does that pass the Cornet World Champion test? NWA World Champion Daisy Kill? No, guys, I don't see it. Paladin asked Jay, thoughts on Tootie Lynn being on AEW TV?
I mean, I think it's great. Tootie Lynn is, the problem with the NWA is that they throw out this wide net and they try to cast as many talents as they can for whatever show and whatever city they're in, and then we don't see these talents ever again. Terrible way to build up an audience. Terrible way to build up a talent, but Tootie Lynn, I think, is very talented.
He's dying off now, Dave.
And good for her to get. But I don't suspect she'll be around for AEW for very long either.
That also never passed the name test for me. I like her dragon identity. I don't remember the full extent of it, but
I think Senshi.
Well, you're cutting out too. Do you have Wi-Fi in the car? That's crazy.
I'm on the nationwide 5G network with T-Mobile, so we're doing all right.
All right, very good. Dave Lem says, "Oh, a battle royal for fuck's sake! You got Clearwater, Rhett Titus, Odinson in a Thrillbilly in a pre-show battle royal. Is it a pre-show or is this the first one for the? I don't think it's a pre-show. Let me just see. No, I think you'll kick off the pay-per-view with that, but it'll be your first show in the pay-per-view anyway. What do you I mean, could they not have done better with than a 20-man battle royal for some of these guys, Dave? Is it sometimes just better to leave it alone? Let him sit out and watch. Eat some popcorn.
I mean, there's a few guys that you could have snuck in, but it's depending on what they want to do. I mean, it's stuff like this that you maybe do a dark match before the YouTube pre-show, and you do a battle that then in the pay-per-view you can announce that, hey, the next chance at the national title.
Right.
But I mean, it's one of these things. Who knows?
Jay's yakking because Lamb's saying at the end, Billy Corgan, Rolando wins. You know he's going to be Final Four. You know it.
If Rolando wins, I'm canceling my trip to St. Louis.
Oh,
wow.
It's a shindy, Mike says. It's a shit indie.
It's a good old Mike.
The joke from Willie tonight is Danny Deals and Chris Rock were in a video called Slapped. What the hand? Say to the face.
That's good too.
Paladin, Billy has talked about the NWA being a developmental for major companies. He has indeed. He said that he would consider that being a feeder for one of the big two. I think specifically, I forget which one he said, but I thought he named one or the other, and that he had that conversation before. But they're not there yet in the development.
There was a point in time where when Dave Lagana was still with the NWA, there was talks that they were going to be on the network. And if that were the case, then it would have made perfect sense to have some sort of working relationship with NXT, because, you know, although they have in the past gone on, you know, large tours, I mean, how great would it be for some of that NXT talent that doesn't get a lot of TV time to appear in the NWA, to get a little bit more seasoned? And they don't have to be the next big thing in the NWA. They just need to get repetition. But, you know, all that doesn't even make sense either, considering, you know, the NWA is really like a 4 days, a quarter type wrestling promotion. It's almost as part-time. It's more part-time than NXT is. So, you know, those delusions of grandeur that Billy has, I mean, run a promotion every month. If Dave Marquez found a way to do it, you know, Billy Corgan's got more money than Dave. How come he can't do that? Sorry, I get off my soapbox.
Yeah, no, it's. But I've seen Mr. Marquez, who I like to call Mr. Marquez out of respect and because I don't know him like you do. But I see him tweeting or posting sometimes about how, you know, he's looking to step away from the day-to-day stuff, let someone else run this and kind of just stay in television production and do other things. So maybe the drive and the bullshit around professional wrestling has kept him out of that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, and knowing David very well, and I will call him David because, you know, I've had breakfast with him, so I can do that. He has always been kind of burnt out by the pro wrestling side of producing television wrestling, and that's why, like, he doesn't book his shows. If you look, he has bookers, he has writers. You know, that's like, he has final say, of course, but he's not as involved as maybe he was just a few years ago, let alone like 20 years ago when he started doing the tapings in Hollywood and in California. So as far as that goes, I mean, I just think the fact of the matter that, you know, David was able to secure just enough sponsorship to do a monthly television show in California and in Memphis, and at some points was doing that in Atlanta and Arizona as well, and now they're doing it in Kentucky. It's like, come on, Billy, like, your excuses of not being able to do this are starting to run thin. And I know as the owner of the NWA, he wants to be at every show, and he should be, but realistically he can't. So don't worry about it. You know, be the Vince McMahon and have your hands, you know, in most of the creative, but not all of it. I don't know.
I agree. I mean, he said very recently that the music pays for the wrestling. So
yeah,
go and make the music,
please.
Yeah. Yeah, have you ever, there's this movie, I can't remember what it's called. It's a Shakespeare with Love or something like that. But one of the guys is there and he's like, "Who are you?" And "I'm the money." "Well, you can stay. Just be quiet." Like that's that's what I want out of Billy. Just yeah. Dave's having some troubles, I think, here. But I can see you, Dave. It's Chicago, Lamb says. So like they don't sit back with the popcorn. You have replace the popcorn with a hot dog and a handshake or $20. Yeah. Paladin says he saw an interview Billy did today where he called the NWA a glorified indie show. Reality may be settling in. I would agree with that, and I'm going to ask you what you think, Dave. Along the same lines, Lamb says they draw 400 plus people at the Derby City tapings for UWN for a show which ran the same time as OVW when it was a success. Dave, is the NWA a glorified indie?
Yes. They could be doing so much more, and they could be doing.
Right now, Billy's like, no, don't let him answer that question.
But I mean, you could be doing so much better in selling tickets, building your show, that it's something that somebody wants to see.
Right. Right. You froze up right at the when we were when we asked the question, and it was like he's thinking. But I did get the answer in the end. The silence is telling. Paladin's hilarious today. What else for this show? Let's just go through it. You ready for this? Here it comes. The fight of the hour. Kratos versus Yabo. This isn't on the pre-show.
I stole that graphic from the This Is Pro Wrestling podcast.
Oh, yeah?
I screenshot it and stole it.
Nice.
You did such a great job of getting all the other graphics. I figured that's the least I could do.
Well, it's the only one online, too, beyond this one. I went looking for one before I saw that it was here. I don't care about this match, guys. I don't care about other than, I get to see Yabo up close and get to hear what all the fuss is about.
I want to hear Jeremy watching it. I hope he does like a live telecast because I know he will freak out with a clown on TV. But I don't know. This is the kind of thing that I just don't understand. Why are we advertising somebody who is not connected to the brand, who doesn't have a larger presence? And they're kind of making it seem like it's a big deal. Oh, it's Yabo the Clown. Who the fuck is Yabo the Clown? Why do I need to care about Yabo the Clown? Why is he getting a match on the pay-per-view when you can't even get Thrillbilly a decent match on the pay-per-view? Come on. Enough of this shit.
Yep.
I agree, fellas. Clowns belong in the circus, Willie says. They don't,
or in Congress.
Clowns don't pass the Harley Race sniff test, says Paladin. They do not.
That's a good line, Paladin. I'm going to steal that tomorrow night.
That's good. The NWA is Talent Slam says the money in the fan base to do more. I think Dave, but Billy, nope. They can visit our Smashing Pumpkins tour shows. I know like 2 Smashing Pumpkin songs, and that's on me. I know, but it's just like, my wife is saying like, they might not be playing in Canada after all because they haven't really announced exactly where and when yet for that tour. But like, look, I don't want to pay for a Pumpkins show to go and watch if there's only going to be a few matches. How many matches were there in Mexico, Dave or Jay?
So I can't tell you. I don't remember the exact amount of matches, but it was about 45 minutes worth of content. So like they had in the first taping or whatever you want to call it, they had Commander and Octagon Jr. versus Scion and Homicide, and then they had the triple threat for the World Junior Heavyweight title. Then they had Daga come out to cut a promo. Then they did the mixed tag match between Aaron and Markova versus the AAA team. I don't remember their names. And then they had Psycho Clown and Trevor Murdoch to kind of main event the first show. So, about 4 matches. And, I felt like that was pretty good. The speculation that I've heard, I can't confirm nor deny this. This isn't fact. This is just speculation that because these are concerts as opposed to festivals, they won't be able to do the same thing and have a full-on ring right in the middle of the center. But what they might do is have that ring up on stage, and in between matches or in between sets, have matches take place. So instead of getting a full show, you might get 2 or 3 matches, which, I'll still take that over nothing at all. And they're going to be coming in 3 stops within an hour drive from where I live. So I might be checking out the Pumpkins to apologize for not checking them out in Mexico City, because I went and saw Lucha Libre instead.
3 stops, 3 potential NWA events within an hour of where you live. Is that what you're saying to me right now?
Oh, I'm not saying that these are potentially NWA shows. I'm saying if the Pumpkins will be here, they're taking their tour to 3 different spots within about an hour and a half from where I live. Yeah. Now, I would be thrilled if they're all NWA shows, but I don't think they're going to be.
Must be nice to live in a place that's essentially always sunny and warm, where you can just roll in the car up for an hour and go watch an NWA event and maybe a Pumpkin show at the same time.
So I'm about an hour and a half away from the beach. I'm about 45 minutes away from the snow. I'm about 4 hours away from Vegas and about 5 hours away from Arizona. What else do you want to know?
You know what, man? I love you like a brother, but you make me sad.
Hey, I've got a guest bedroom, man. You come visit anytime you want.
What does Lamb say? J. Cal bought a Smashing Pumpkin shirt in Mexico. He's just lying here on the podcast.
I literally so as soon as the NWA match was over, I sat there and debated with myself, and I said, well, okay, I've never seen the Smashing Pumpkins before. I flew all the way to Mexico as that was supposed to be part of the experience, but CMLL starts at 7:30, and they're just across half an hour away. All right, I'm going to go to CMLL, and I literally walked about 30 minutes to get into an Uber, then drove 30 minutes and caught the last hour and a half of a CMLL show. But it was totally worth it.
I could drive the closest I could do is drive about an hour to watch Hamilton wrestling, and you'll say who, and I'll say exactly. And that's about the best I can do. You guys got it made.
How far away are you from the torture chamber?
Montreal's probably 4 hours from me.
Oh, geez, that's not a short drive.
Yeah, but I think we're going to go out there this weekend and take the British Commonwealth title and get him to sign it and just say hello to Drew.
That's awesome. When I used to go to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood when they were in Port Hueneme, that was a 2.5 to 3 hour drive both ways. When they that's when they taped in Hueneme, which was a lot further away from me. And every time I drove there, I kept thinking, why the hell am I doing this? But it was great because I always got to see the backside stuff, and I got to meet some world champions like Tim Storm, and there's this other guy that was there. I can't remember his name. He was like a treasure hunter or something. I don't know. He had a
British, Irish, Scottish dude, something like that.
I just think it's weird. I don't think there's very many British world champions, so I couldn't have been British. Maybe. I don't know.
Let me see. There's Gary Steele, and there's that was it, right? I think that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Actually, Nick Aldis was a delight when he was always kind to me in person. It was just on the internet that he was an asshole.
And a hell of a wrestler. Let's see, where are we? Let's blow through this because we're already at 7:20. Latimer versus Bully Ray. Not a TV title defense, which says to me that Bully Ray's going over Tom Latimer. What do you guys think?
You only have Bully Ray on the show if you're going to put him over at this point. He hasn't been built up enough to give somebody else the rub.
Yep.
And, I think it's going to be an interference type thing. I don't think it's going to have a finish. And I think at the end of it, Tom and Bully will be standing up to somebody else.
I like that. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, the match itself doesn't make sense besides Bully Ray having a connection with training Camille. But if there is an interference, Tom came out to help Bully, and now Bully will help Tom if there is an interference.
Yeah, that's about what Lamb's saying. I think that's probably the best connection we can come up with.
I think that the craziest thing about this is you have a guy like Bully who could potentially help some of the lesser known talent, and you have a guy like Tom who desperately needs a Lex Luthor to his Superman. What's going on? I mean, you couldn't put maybe make this a tag match and put well, gosh, I guess everyone in the Church's Money is now part of the CYN, but I would have rather had seen like Tom Latimer versus Jordan Clearwater, and maybe even, I know he's being used elsewhere, but Marche Rocket and Jordan Clearwater versus Bully and Tom Latimer. Just they could have done something that could have tied back to the TV title somehow.
And out of nowhere, Lamb says Latimer and Bully end next season as NWA US Tag Team Champions.
Sorry, that was funny.
My cat is being a ripe dick. I will be back in one moment. Talk about this. Kenzie Page versus Max.
So when you think about this matchup, Dave, we've got the non-binary Nightmare versus, Miss NWA. What do you think about this one?
If Kenzie wins, it continues her build. Plus, it separates her from Pretty Empowered, the tag team, but not the group. That if Pretty Empowered can become a faction, and try to get the women's tag belts back, just build them up that way. But Max is a great wrestler, but it makes no logical sense for Max to win a women's title if they're pushing it as a women's title. So who knows what they're thinking? I mean, the booking is good.
I look forward. Yeah, just that we lost you a bit at the end, but yeah, I hear what we heard 95% of that. I look forward to that one. That should be fun. I want to see the belt. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm wondering what bastardization of the title they're going to use this time.
Somebody said, maybe one of these guys here, but somebody said a pink 10 pounds of gold. It's great for Kenzie Page getting that spotlight, even though everyone thought the first champ would be Allison Kay, right? Yeah. We did. I think we all talked about it would probably be her. But honestly, for me, just as a fan, Allison Kay's time in the NWA is done, and I'm okay with that. And thank you so much for everything that you put in, but I'm okay if I don't see her return.
Yeah, I think I very much like Allison Kay, but they kind of booked her into a corner, and she's.
Wow, Billy hates one of us at a time, I think.
All of us.
Yeah, all of us. Dave, Kerry Morton versus Joe Alonzo. Jamie Stanley's got him a shot at the junior heavyweight championship. What do you think is going to happen here? Any change of hands for the junior?
I look for Kerry to retain because there's so much storyline that could go. This could be a best of 3, best of 5, best of 7 match. But Kerry just needs to continue the character that he's doing outside of the NWA and bring that into the NWA. That it finally gets down to he's not the good old boy, that he can play dirty if need be.
Yeah.
That it's a complete 180 of his dad. And I mean, something needs to be done. That I could actually see Alonzo and him after they go to battle against each other. If Kerry turns, that there's a new tag team with Jamie Stanley as a manager.
Sounds good to me. We always wanted it with Carino.
Him and Carino, yep.
And it's crazy how much Alonzo is like Carino in that he's the swarmy heel who does chicken shit stuff to get the victory and is always talking trash. It would fit just like we wanted it, except for he's not a second generation wrestler.
It's true. Somebody said in the Discord they made a big mistake putting Kerry Morton to standing beside Camille on the segment with May. He's like the same size as May, or not too much taller, but Camille, maybe she's got heels on, but boy, she just towers over both of them. But anyway, who else we got real quick? We got Pretty Empowered 2.0 trying to get the belts back after a cup of coffee from Maddie and Missa Kate. We know who Jay's pulling for. His girl.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How about
There's
you?
There's a reason why they still do the intro for the Alliance Guys podcast.
That's right. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I mean, they flip-flopped the belts a couple times. I'm hoping for a hometown win for Missa, since she is from Chicago, or at least wrestles out of Chicago. But if Kenzie does win the TV title, she can then flaunt it and use that as a way of trying to have Pretty Empowered keep up with her by winning belts, that they can basically almost control the women's division in the NWA. But I'd like to see Missy and Maddie retain, at least for now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I would too. I don't know. I don't know what to think of this one. Jay will be right back. But let's move on to Scion versus EC3. I don't know why this hasn't grabbed me. I don't care about this in the slightest. So whatever's fine. It's has he passed Dad in the number of days as champ now?
Today he tied. Tomorrow he passes. Today's day 221. Tomorrow's 222. So I mean, it's one of these things of, I think they're using this to build up EC3 to go after Tyrus.
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows? I think there's just going to be a wonky finish.
It would be really cool. You should tweet him if you haven't already. You know, you pass your dad as of tomorrow, like in total days as champion. That's a storyline that they haven't grabbed onto that they should have.
Yeah,
but they still can. La Rebellion defends their death-like grasp on the NWA World Tag Team Championship against Magnum Muscle. Who you got?
Let's see here. It's a championship series cash in for Draper. I see La Rebellion retaining, but it's also building up another team in Magnum Muscle for the Crockett Cup if they do indeed have it this year. That a lot of this, all these new teams, they're building up for the Crockett Cup if they do indeed have it in May, June, or July.
I see. Yeah, I don't see La Rebellion dropping it right away to these guys right now. I would agree. Let's see what the chat says right now. I don't know, but I always have a feeling that La Rebellion only wrestling on the pay-per-view and one time at the taping, not more. He's very perceptive. He may know things behind the scenes. I'm screwing all this stuff up. I don't think that you have predicted any title changes yet. And there's only 2 to go. Camille Dave versus it left us versus La Rosa Negra. Who for me they just haven't what the heck? They just haven't done enough. I mean, you know her, I know her. Hopefully people who are watching and who are hardcore fans know her. They haven't done enough to build up La Rosa Negra yet as the one for me that takes the title from the one time Brickhouse Camille. I say she retains, and it's a banger of a match. But once again, I figure it's Camille. What do you guys think? What do you think, Jay?
I think pretty much I'm right in line with what you just said. Of all the champions in the NWA right now, I think the safest one would be Camille. I don't think you do anything drastic with her. Taking the belt off of her, making her look weak. No, none of it. And although I feel like La Rosa Negra is extremely talented, and I think she could be a potential future women's world champion at some point, now's not the time. This very much like the WrestleMania just this past weekend. You don't take the belt off of Roman. You let that story still tell itself. You let those records be broken. Camille is untouchable as far as I'm concerned right now.
Are you saying that you would have, if you were booking the main event at WrestleMania, you would have had Roman retain?
I think so. I like Cody. I like Cody. I would have put the belt on Cody, but I see the other side of it. And everyone's looking at that, just WrestleMania real quick. Everyone was looking at as this is the start of Cody's story or finish the story, Cody. But we all seem to forgot or chose to forget that this is Roman Reigns' story. And his story is not finished being told yet. I agree that, I would have preferred Cody to win.
What was that?
But there's still juice with there's still a lot of juice with Roman Reigns. There's a lot of juice with the being the tribal chief. There's still a lot of juice with the Usos. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff going on still that needs to be told, and I think you need Roman to be world champion to tell those stories.
I'm not a Cornette guy per se, but I admit I listened to a lot of the clips. And he said, if not now, when? And if not Cody, who? Well, I don't care about I don't watch WWE. So in my opinion, honestly, doesn't matter. But if it did, I don't care about so much about the continuation of the bloodline as a story as I do to see. This just felt like Cody's time. He was going to do this. It was written in the stars in the way that things just don't feel written in the stars in pro wrestling. And I would have booked a Cody win for that. What do you think, Dave? What would you have done? We're going to WWE from NWA.
Well, we're talking about a former NWA World Champion, so
true. That's the connection. Would you book Cody to win or lose, Dave?
I think there's too much of a story in the chase for the belt than just him coming back and winning it right off.
He makes a great point.
I think what Mr. Scooby was trying to say is that the chase is going to be what keeps the storyline going for Cody. And like, not that I'm saying that they're booking based on movies, but like, Busted Open made the analogy about, Rocky didn't win it on his first shot either. And then I also, in my own thought process is, if Cody hasn't earned it, then you need to put him in a position to earn it. So he's going to do some Herculean efforts in an attempt to get his position back. And I don't know if you wait till WrestleMania of next year to pull that trigger, but if let's just assume he's going to be facing Brock Lesnar at the next pay-per-view, there are still 4 members of the bloodline that he would have to eventually get to that world title. So, I mean, there's a lot of stories to still be told in that chase. I think about Sting when we all thought Sting was going to win that title at Clash of the Champions against Ric Flair, and it didn't happen. But when it happened, the place went nuts. And I get that there's no grander stage than WrestleMania, but I don't think that's your only opportunity. And when I heard who said it today? I think it was Tommy Dreamer said it today. When Rhea Ripley didn't win the women's championship the first time facing Charlotte, when she lost to Charlotte the first time, she came back and became a bigger star. And I feel like today Cody's a bigger star right now, even losing than I think he would have been winning.
I don't know. I guess I'm not. I've always found Cody to be perfectly serviceable as a wrestler. He'll give you a little bit of everything, but you're probably not going to see a 5-star match out of him.
No,
not too often. So it felt like after night one, which ended with pure joy. Those fans left that WrestleMania just, dancing. When it ended with the spear on Cody in night 2, if you look at the end of that match, they're walking out as he's being pinned. And that just isn't how you look. That's how you can end any wrestling card in any promotion. I don't see how you do that at WrestleMania, man. But anyway, that's just me. And I'm not a promoter. Dave, any thought that La Rosa Negra takes the title? You're going to make a bold prediction. Dave Scooby says La Rosa Negra right now. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. Can you hear me? You're on mute. There you go. You're on mute again. Dave, you're on mute. Yep, there you go.
I don't know. It's working its own thing. Billy quit it.
Yeah,
Going to be a good match. Just a different style for Camille. And just from seeing the picture online of Tessa Blanchard, this would be a great time for a run-in. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, we're going to talk about that in just a minute or two. Look at this, though. It's Tyrus, yours, Dave, Jay and Dave's, your NWA, yes, World Heavyweight Champion, the holder of the 12-pound gold.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
The 12, the Manster, the undefeated, undisputed World's Heavyweight Champion Tyrus versus Chris Adonis. Chris Adonis doesn't win this match. But I know, Jay, you're going out on a limb and you're saying it's Adonis.
I am going to go out on a limb and say it's Adonis, and I'm going to say this. I know coming off the momentum of that victory over Rolando really elevated Tyrus to that next level. But let's be perfectly frank. The man can't move in the ring. I know. He's on Fox News. I know he had a commercial. He was in the Super Bowl. I get it. His book signing, it sells out. He's a deity to the right wing. It's great, all that perfect. But at the end of the day, on the marquee it says the National Wrestling Alliance, not the National Talking Alliance, not the National Publicity Alliance. It's the National Wrestling Alliance. And when they, and I'm actually spoiling what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow night, but when you're going to be gone in Australia for, 10 wrestling shows in 15 days with the Smashing Pumpkins, if you're not able to make those matches because of prior commitments to book signings, there's a problem for me. And top of that, you're going to have your world's heavyweight champion miss a tour of Australia? Why not? Why not put the belt on Adonis and let him take it to Australia? It'll shock the world. It'll get people talking about it. He'll be the guy that did what Cody couldn't do. He'll be the guy that did what that Mark Briscoe couldn't do. He'll be the guy that who was the other guy? I don't know. He'll win the title that he was supposed to win. And then, I don't know, in Australia, have Tyrus win it back after his book signing. There's a 5-day window between the book signing before and after for Australia. And if you send Adonis out there and he goes and he wrestles every single match in Australia as world's heavyweight champion, that's going to carry some significance for the NWA in a global spectrum. Plus, getting the belt off of Tyrus would be a break for all the fans who want to support the NWA but have a hard time supporting somebody who's been accused of sexual assault, who has really conservative political views, who's on Fox News, all of that stuff. And I think when you really, I saw somebody tweet this today, and I'm not trying to be so super anti-Tyrus, but they said, I would love to sit down and watch Billy Corgan watch Tyrus wrestle and then have Billy explain to me why that's good.
Yeah, my wife is laughing. The Reluchador is beside herself with laughter right now. Lamb, imagine going into Billy Corgan's old territory and he books Tyrus versus Adonis as the main event. Resistance Pro, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
good on you.
I missed this from Lamb earlier. If they don't bring in Tessa to face Camille, there's only 2 serious contenders: Rolando or James Ellsworth.
Oh, Jesus.
James Ellsworth has been in Memphis wrestling,
Wow.
In the ladies division recently. Sexual assault, Paladin says. You talking about those dirty DMs he saw his co-anchor?
Paladin, I know we have different political views. I don't really know. It's just I got fired up. I take it back. I withdraw that statement. Because I know he was not ever found guilty of anything. They didn't remove him from Fox News. He's still on the channel. So evidently whatever he did, good, bad, or indifferent, Fox News wasn't too upset about. So, yeah.
Let's just say he didn't slide into those DMs so much as he did stagger into them. But in the words Willie says, and Tyrus's books are written in crayon. Willie. Adonis is the only NWA male wrestler who is wrestling overseas in Europe and Asia. It's true. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Yep.
There's so much. I'm sorry. I don't want to eat any more time, but there's so many positive reasons to put the belt on Adonis. And even if it's just a short-term 2-month, 1 month, 3-week, 4-week run with the belt, there's just so many positives that could come out of him winning that belt in Chicago.
Yep. That's it for that card. You guys want to talk about NWA USA real quick and then do some fantasy booking and get out of here? All right. Sure. NWA USA. Look, I have banners. I don't even use them. NWA USA. It was, listen, Power was Power. NWA was USA was a little better before Power that came up, but I'll leave that for you tomorrow night, boss. It started with the Renegade Twins. We hadn't seen in a little while. With Ruthie J, who's a newcomer, versus Maddie and Missa Kate, your women's tag team champions, and La Rosa Negra. I'll go through this just really briefly. Some of the spots for me that landed, no pun intended, really, really well move-wise. There was this cool, for lack of a better term, like a spinning face buster by La Rosa Negra that looked really cool in the beginning of the match. Really cool, consistent tags between Ruthie J and the twins. There's some rolling vertical suplexes by. What do you got there? What's going on? Oh, is that your Bam Bam? What's up there?
Oh, actually, this is my Thrillbilly action figure.
For real?
No.
Okay. I thought I saw a
Terry
TV
Gordy.
Oh, Terry. Okay, great. What were you saying?
Nothing.
Okay. I thought Maddie looked really aggressive and rough when she was working on Robin. It looked really great. It's fast-paced enough, this whole match, that it's tough to follow, and I didn't bother going move for move for any of the stuff. But La Rosa Negra with off the top turnbuckle to the floor with the crossbody looked fantastic in a way that I have not seen look, that great in a long, long time from anybody. In the end, it's Missa Kate with a move she calls the suffocate. Lots of action. Everyone looked great. Dave, what did you think of this match overall?
To highlight the tag champs and La Rosa Negra as they're going into the pay-per-view. It gives them a win and gives them a little cushion as they're heading into the pay-per-view coming up on Friday.
Yeah, some fast-paced stuff going on with them. Hey, they like your action figure, Jay. Looks like He-Man. And where's your Ricky Morton figure, Jay?
I might actually have one.
Yeah, man. We get Dave. We get May Valentine with Jamie Stanley. He says, "I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about myself and Joe Alonzo," which was great. Boy, he can talk. Basically, they got rid of PJ and then they got rid of Alex, and now it's time for Kerry. And says, "You got to respect greatness when you see it." Oh my God!
So I got Brady Pierce. Got a Royce Isaacs.
I gotta take the banner down. That is not a Royce Isaacs. Stop it.
It's a Royce Isaacs.
It is not. Does it have
Look
a
at his
mustache?
face. Tell me that's not Royce Isaacs.
Does it have a mustache?
Yeah, but it was it's kind of been rubbed off. It's from the 80s.
Snidely Whiplash.
Got the LOD.
That's pretty cool. You don't want to play this game. You don't understand what's behind me here right now.
Oh God, please don't.
Kerry Morton, I guess.
Jerry Morton, when you're done.
One of my favorite wrestlers of all time, whose arm broke, but I think you'll appreciate this one. Canada's own Rick Martel.
Nice.
One of my favorites.
The model, arrogance. Oh yes, Rick Martel is the model.
He had an amazing run in WCW as the TV champion until he got hurt.
Yep. Yeah. Oh. You now got me looking. These are my favorite two right here. Look at this. The first match I ever saw. Bruiser Brody.
Oh shit.
With the fuzzy boots against Abdullah the Butcher. I need to source a tiny little fork. That's it. Just to put in his tights there. We're this is like the Major Figure podcast now. Yeah, next week on the Alliance blog, Jay won't be here. I can do whatever I want. Wrestling action figure podcast. That's it. That's the answer.
Well, we can't. We'll probably get Cardona on then.
There you go. Jay Cal, do you have a Ric Flair action figure? I do. I actually have it here in the giveaway box. Look at that one. Ooh. Nice. That is not Ric Flair. What is that one you got up front right? The other one. That's not Ric Flair.
Oh, that's 100% Ric Flair.
Let me see that. Oh yeah, it's Ric Flair. Okay. I'm like, that's a Nick Bockwinkel figure.
I got a Larry Zbyszko figure.
I also have a Larry Zbyszko figure.
I got a version of a Pop Funko of myself.
That's pretty awesome.
That's about it for me, guys. Oh, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Blue Demon.
I also have one of those.
Did you get it from a bootleg website?
Yeah, probably. He's here somewhere. I got the hat and everything, but this is on top. Look at that. Terry Funk with 10 pounds of gold.
That's dope.
Anyway, they're full. We'll do that another time.
I got a Blue Demon plushie.
Oh, nice. You keep getting me. I got a mask. You got a mask?
I do got a mask. Got multiple masks.
There you go. We have gone totally off the rails. I'm so sorry, Dave.
Dave looks annoyed. I'm sorry too, Dave.
Dave's like, what?
No problem. No, I'm just like, dang, I need to get some figures.
No, you don't. It's an addiction.
I mean,
yeah. I have at least 20 NWA World Heavyweight Champions. I have champions you would never even suspect had had action figures made for them. But anyway, Natalia Markova.
Excuse me.
Versus La Brava Escobar. Nope, not blonde enough. There is a bunch of silly slap exchanges in the beginning of this one. There's a neck breaker from Natalia. Brava's a good heel here. She's got using eye rakes on the ropes. She's got some mounted punches. There's some decent kicks and strike combos. Natalia makes a point of giving it back the same way. But Escobar in her debut moves out of the way of the beautiful destruction from Markova, and she chop blocks the leg. She starts to go to work on the leg of Markova. Her leg submission is almost a pin. That was kind of neat. Natalia returns some hard kicks as the match goes on, delivers a split-legged cutter, which you don't see too often, and a running face buster for a 2 count. La Brava's busted open a little bit. There's a running kick into the corner, but a minute later, she just falls victim to the beautiful destruction. I thought she looked pretty good in her debut. Did you watch USA this week, Jay? No.
I did see a little bit of the opening match with the Renegade Twins and Rosa Negra and Maddie and Misa. I just Saturdays are usually awful for me to watch anything, and
Right.
As soon as the day got going, I missed it. I usually watch USA and Power on Thursday before the show.
Yeah. I kind of watch them as they happen, but I like to run by first so I can go through the commercials and, Dave, your thoughts on Markova versus Escobar, but how did you like La Brava Escobar in her debut?
I did like her as a wrestler. I mean, it was a very hard-hitting match. I think they just need to build on wrestling and not all the slapping. I mean, show me what you have in the like, okay, do something.
Right.
Throw a punch, do a ground and pound, do a kick to the stomach, a kick to the knee, something.
anything other than what they were doing at the beginning of that match. The slapping was silly. But otherwise, I thought she was pretty good in her debut. There's some potential there. Didn't blow me away, but there you go. Maze with Sal the Pal, Dave. Something about calling him Salvation. I don't know. He's lost a father, and he has to get him back. He mentions he's been reading Playboy lately. That's where he's been. May's like, it was nonsense, but he looks like he wants forgiveness. Did you get anything out of this whatsoever?
It's just Sal being Sal. I'm not sure what's going to happen at the pay-per-view. But if Sal loses his hair, it won't hurt him as much as if Gag loses the mask. I don't really like the character Gags, but the guy behind the mask has already been featured in the NWA, and I'd like to see him continue wrestling, even if it is under the mask. But who knows? Oh.
That's pretty great.
Doesn't pass the Harley sniff test, not taste.
Taste. Oh, Harley taste. Tastes like Harley.
The Marlboros and some Coors Light.
I have Harley with the jacket and the title. Look at this though, Jay.
Is that Tanahashi, Tanahashi. Can't talk anymore. I know who it is. Tenzin. Hiroshi Tenzin.
Yeah. All right, look at this. Basic Vader doll, right?
Sure.
Kind of cool. Look at this bad boy. Yeah.
You know what? And okay, since you brought it up, I want to go back in a time machine and book Vader to win the 10 pounds of gold in between Severin and Hashimoto. I want Hashimoto to take the title off of Vader before it goes to Impact Wrestling. That's my fantasy booking.
That's look, this is maybe my rarest. Look at this one.
Dude, that one probably cost you a fortune.
I'm not saying. I wasn't married at the time when I got it.
Well, then she can't say anything about it.
No, she can't. What's that, Dave?
I forgot. I did find one figure in a bargain bin.
Oh,
amazing!
That's a good one to find in a bargain bin.
Beautiful. This one,
I think LBJ or something like that.
LJN?
Yeah. LJN, yes. Yeah, LJN. So, I mean, probably the best $10 I've spent on a wrestling action figure, considering it's the only 100%. One I've ever bought.
Yeah. May and the Country Gents. Let's just get through this. Jesus Christ. May and the Country Gents and the Savages. Now, she's got both teams at the same time. And I really liked this format. So Silvio's there with Troop, actually. Dane isn't there. He puts over his team and basically says, they look forward to taking the titles. And Andrews says, only Dane knows what out of the Savages from your side what NWA gold tastes like. And he points at Troop and says, keep your dog on a chain unless Dane is here, because you got nothing to say. And Kazana says to Troop, if you want to bring it, I'll knock your teeth out right here. And I was like, what the? Like, they don't do this stuff. It was good. And, Troop, yeah, Troop is fine in this. He's your classic MMA kind of meathead guy. He says something like, whether it's tap, snap, or nap, they're taking the belts. And the format was great. I like the head-to-head stuff. And why don't we do this all the time? What did you think, Dave?
I liked it. The only thing missing was that Jax Dane wasn't there in person.
Yep.
It's just, it seemed incomplete that if you're not able to have both tag teams together facing off, why do it at all?
I agree. I can't find my corny, but he's got a little tennis racket at the Midnight Express for the U.S. tag belts. Bobby with the TV title. Look at that, eh? It's beautiful. Thing of beauty. Anyway, I got to stop doing that. The format's cool. Go back and see it. We're just going to talk about. I got that same one. We got it at the same time. I also got that one.
We might do a giveaway on the podcast for this one.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Should give away your Aldous.
Yeah, maybe. I'd like to keep one of them.
Yeah. Look, just to end this stuff out here, because I want to do some fantasy booking while we still have a couple minutes. The Fixers end up main eventing this show versus two guys called Porter and VHS. They do the Pledge of Allegiance, the Fixers do now. Bradley does a Razor Ramon bit where basically in a Fixer way, he says, something happened to these belts, something going to happen to you. Which is
okay, that's pretty clever. That's fun.
The newcomers actually get early control on this, but Legursky drops a huge power bomb on VHS. The double team begins. This ends when Porter tries to take them both on, but gets double squashed, and like they just run at him and they squash him, and they pin him. This match isn't really overly important, other than to say that Porter was serviceable and VHS, I thought, had some talent that could be built on with a better gimmick and look. But at the end of this match, Billy comes out and he just takes the belts. And he goes, look, got the belts as we go off the air. I win. And it's over. And Galley's like, yeah, boss, you did it. You finally did it. You finally took the belts. And I'm sitting there watching this going, why was there anything to do with Bobby Fulton and the feud to take the belts back, Dave, when all you had to do was have all Corgan gets to do at the end? I'm wording it completely wrong, but I'm frustrated over this whole thing. He just comes out and takes them. It was a complete blow-off, waste, garbage moment for me. What did you think, Dave?
Yep. A storyline that really went nowhere.
Yeah. Bobby Fulton went through what, 4 episodes of this shit, and then Billy, he's not even involved. Billy just comes out and takes them.
It's the worst possible scenario for the whole gimmick. Think back when they introduced those belts; those were bootlegs that they weren't supposed to be showing on television. Instead of taking them off the air, they reintroduced new titles and then put a whole dumb 16-week story behind it. It's not bad booking, it's shit.
Just got my belts. I win. And they stand there and they go, no. Like they come out of the ring and they walk at him like, no. And they stop. Oh, it's too late. He's gone. He's like 12 feet that way.
Before we get to fantasy booking, can I show one more thing?
Yes, please.
I know no one has this one, but I have an original Captain Yuma action figure.
Fuck off. Look at that.
Wow.
I may have a potential trade for you.
I bet you could probably find that on eBay for about $5.
Yeah, you probably could. That was the show, man. I don't know. It was better than probably the way that I presented it here tonight, because we got super sidetracked and it was much more fun talking about action figures with you guys. But it wasn't a terrible show, other than the most terrible ending to this feud I could possibly have seen, but not as bad as Power. And we'll let Jay talk about that tomorrow night when you get to talk about the worst main event I've seen in a long, long time. Hey, you want to see something cool?
I do.
Well, watch this. Dave Scooby. I respect you, Booker, man. I hope that you're still there because that's an awful, awful pose of like you're lost in time there. There you go.
I know.
Is Tessa Blanchard NWA bound?
I don't do the booking, but if I did, and she was willing to play ball, I would bring her in. She's a second generation wrestler, has good, it'd be a good storyline. I mean, her grandfather, Joe Blanchard, the San Antonio area, he was a promoter, a wrestler. Her dad, Tully Blanchard, Four Horsemen famous, stepfather, Magnum TA, NWA mainstay. It's not old that I can find online since 2020. She's a former Impact World and Knockouts champion, former Wild champion. She was featured in the first All In back in 2018. It's time to either give her a chance or just move on. That, I mean, her and La Rosa Negra have, I guess, mended fences. I know her and Allison Kay. Is so
Hang on one sec. Let's
bring her in. See if she plays nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring her in for 1 or 2 tapings, if that includes a pay-per-view, do that. It can boost Tessa back into the mainstream. If she would come to the NWA, I don't see her staying there long if she plays nice. It would give Camille another big-name opponent. Like I said earlier, the NWA is the island of broken toys. That you go there to repair your image or moving up or coming down.
Right.
That, I mean, no one has used her since the fall of 2021. So that's a year and a half. The last time she was used, I believe, was in WoW, and then she left after the first season. And I mean, they already have a strong women's division here in the NWA. This could make it even stronger. If things go well, she could possibly be used.
We're losing him again there.
Maybe she can do a Matt Cardona type thing and just start with the NWA and then be used elsewhere. But I mean, I'd give her a chance. I don't know what she charges, but you're not going to find out unless you try.
I like, we were talking about it earlier. What do you think, Jay? Would you bring her in?
From what I heard Scooby saying, I mean, yes, all of the yes. You can rehab your image in the NWA. You can get a second chance. I mean, let's face it, Matt Cardona did a lot on the indies. People weren't talking about him going back to the WWE until after he won the 10 pounds of gold.
Right.
There are a lot of opportunities for Tessa. If she were to come to the NWA, this could be the apology tour. This could be the opportunity for her to mend some broken fences. And if she's already said sorry to the person that she verbally assaulted and potentially physically assaulted in the ring, I mean, if that bridge has been restored, I don't care if I love Allison Kay, but I don't care if she would refuse to work the NWA if that meant Tessa Blanchard was there. And even if it's an interim, even if it's short term, Scooby was right. The NWA is a land for broken toys. I mean, you've got Tyrus as a freaking world champion. Who would book Tyrus anywhere else but the NWA? Chris Adonis seems to work everywhere in the world except for America when it comes to pro wrestling. He's in the NWA. And there's nothing wrong with Chris Adonis at all, but for whatever reason, he's not had another opportunity back in the WWE. He hasn't had opportunity and impact as anything meaningful, and he hasn't had opportunity for AEW Ring of Honor. So, the NWA is where a guy like Chris Adonis can exist. And although she does come with some baggage, but if she's looking to exercise those demons, I mean, the NWA is the place to do it. Imagine a best of 7 series with her and Camille. That would elevate both of them. And let's face it, Camille, she's kind of climbed the highest tower she can in the NWA. I mean, outside of now stepping outside of the NWA confines, she's not going to find a bigger, better opponent than Tessa Blanchard. She just won't. And it's not because Tessa Blanchard is just this amazing performer. It's just that the top talent are already signed elsewhere. Right. Willie Bowen brought up earlier Jordan Grace. Yeah, she's great, but she's locked up. Charlotte is not going to become available anytime soon. Bailey is not going to be in the NWA. Mercedes Moné will not be wrestling for the NWA Women's World Championship. Tessa Blanchard might. Yep. Tessa Blanchard held the Impact Men's title. Tessa Blanchard was a very dominant women's champion in Impact. I mean, Tessa Blanchard was the one that took the title off of Frankie Monet, right? Or Taya Valkyrie, right?
Yep.
I could see a lot of good by bringing in Tessa Blanchard. I wholeheartedly respect and buy what Scooby's selling. I think that she could be a very positive force for the NWA under very negative circumstances. And the NWA 100% will catch heat for it. 100% will they have to bear the arrows that are being slung at them. But, at the end of the day, if she's apologized and she's trying to be better, then good for Billy giving her an opportunity.
I don't think that Billy cares about if anyone throws rocks.
No.
David and I were talking earlier about how who he has hired proves that. I mean, he put the 10 pounds of gold on Tyrus, who the rumors went about that he wasn't squeaky clean, but beyond that, also right-wing political programming, and that in itself is polarizing. So I think it'd be a great spot for her, but like the highlight of a pay-per-view like this, which doesn't look too well built up for 312, would be Camille for me, who's probably once again, especially given her opponent and how good La Rosa Negra is, gonna have the best match of the night. And for her to stand tall and like half broken and have Tessa Blanchard walk out and go face to face with Camille, that's a hair on my arm raising moment right there. And I think that's I would also book her.
If she came out after a successful defense for Camille, when she beats La Rosa Negra, Tessa Blanchard comes out and says, "You have what I want. That's my destiny. That's my heritage. I'm a Blanchard. It's part of my family, and I'll see you at 75th, and I'm going to take that title from you." Would you not immediately be ready to buy the 75th just on that match alone?
Yeah. Dave and Jay, would you book her as a heel?
Yes.
I mean, that's the only way I think you could go. That by default, Camille may not be a heel, but she's definitely not a smiley, happy face. But this would automatically make Camille the good guy. And it would push her up by defeating the bad and evil Tessa that everybody, she did this and she said this. Well, you don't have to bring about what happened in the, you don't have to use that in the story, but you can make reference to it.
Yeah.
But her coming to the aid of, if La Rosa Negra loses and all of a sudden here comes the backup to check on La Rosa Negra and basically confront Camille, that would be great. And it always be, then you need somebody to act as a second for Camille. And who is not on the pay-per-view? Genocide. Genocide acts by acting as her second.
I like that. You know, just since you mentioned her, I don't know if what her status is with Chris Silvio, but assuming they're, together and married and nothing has happened, I just don't know. Not suggesting anything did. I haven't been following that closely. Why isn't she a savage? She should be a savage.
Actually, they did announce that they are splitting ways.
Oh shit!
Yeah. No, it was very. Hey, we're only going to mention this one time. It was very much like the celebrity couple breakup. We are separating. We're divorcing, and we'll always, care for one another. But at this time, we were choosing to divorce.
Oh, been there, done that. Wow. Got a T-shirt. That was, and then my ex took half of it. But anyway.
You're not alone.
Yeah. Listen, I think that would be amazing. I want this to happen more than I've ever wanted it to happen. I really want to see this happen. Have I said I wanted to see this happen? I think I said that.
Yes. Let's hope the wrestling gods are listening.
Yeah, let's everybody pray to the whatever sky god it is that you choose to pray to. Listen, we're late. We're probably later than we've just about been in a long time. I blame Jay personally, but there you go.
I blame action figures.
It is action figures. I got so many more. I'll have to show you later. Hey, listen, let's get out of here. You guys want to get out of here? It's where are you at, Jay?
Where am I at?
Yeah, online.
Oh, you can find me at the Alliance blog because that's where it matters. Wrestling the way it's supposed to be.
That's true on all the socials and alliance-wrestling.com. What about you, Dave?
You can find me at Dave Scooby on Twitter and Instagram.
Jeremy's on Twitter at HJWOTS. Also, his YouTube channel is there. He has had a few interviews that he started to slowly build up. He just had an interview with Dustin Starr of Memphis Wrestling, and I believe the Grizzlies as well, right? Which is great.
Can I just say real quick? I'm very proud of Jeremy.
Yeah.
When before this all started, he had told me like he really wanted to start doing podcasting, wanted to do interviews. And he's finally gotten comfortable with it. I think he's interviewed all three of us, and now he's actually going out there and interviewing. Like, no disrespect to you two, obviously you're professionals, but I mean, he wasted his time talking to me, talking to people in the profession. I think that's really good. I'm very proud of him.
Yeah,
although I'd never say it to his face.
He'll play this back. He'll see it. No, we're all really, really proud of Jeremy, and it was actually a really good interview with Dustin Starr. Like, I half expected him to just be like he is. I don't know why in my brain on Memphis TV, like, he'd be like, gun show, what are you doing out here? This isn't your time. And I was pleased to see that his hair wasn't 9 feet tall when he wasn't in the ring. So it's great to watch. Yeah. Tomorrow night, the boss, along with DKM and Jaden, who the elusive Jaden. That's J-Count. How about you? 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's the Alliance Guys podcast. What are you going to talk about tomorrow, Jay?
We're going to dive into our bold predictions and preview of this pay-per-view that's happening Friday night. And then also we'll be talking, of course, about Power. And I wouldn't be surprised if we end up talking a little bit about Cody, too, and his unsuccessful attempt to secure the WWE United Championship.
Yeah. And, of course, the flagship, the vanguard of the Alliance-Wrestling.com juggernaut. He's not laughing. I'm laughing. I wasn't laughing. You're laughing. The hour before Power. It's the pre-party with Jake Al next Tuesday, except it'll be the pre-party with me. So probably half the viewers. Yeah, got wood. My wife's terrible influence on you. But don't forget tomorrow night that the views expressed by DKM are his views alone.
Wait. I think I had that up the other night.
Yeah, it was just sitting here, so I thought I'd throw it up. Yep. Hey, That's Pink awesome. Panther, thanks for joining us. We're leaving, unfortunately. The show's over. So until next time, we will see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.